How long is the teacup ride? It's a similar thing, right? It's the worst thing.
It feels like an eternity.
Yes.
And then sometimes you're there with a reckless person that's just like, faster, faster.
Oh,
I'm
that
like,
person.
Put your
trying to make
legs
it
out
outta
and
here
slow
alive.
it down a little bit.
Who are you trying to impress, guy?
Right.
Guys, we got about 3 minutes left in this segment. I'm going to spin for 3 minutes.
Wow.
I'm going to spin for 3 minutes.
It's a bad idea.
That is a terrible idea.
We're trying to simulate the same speed, so it's going to have to be faster than that.
Faster,
No, you don't
faster.
spin. You hold on. You hold on.
Yeah, you hold on.
Why did Amin volunteer for this?
I don't know.
This is horrifying here.
bad.
We're going to go to commercial because he's got another minute after we go to commercial.
Do the break. Let's go. We're going to keep going.
We're going to keep it going.
Faster.
Faster. He's going to throw up. Mike, don't get in front of him.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Have reached a real problematic place. Funny. I go home at the end of the day funny because there's the very real chance that because I'm signed for 4 years and my father's signed for 1, that he will leverage that situation to make or break ESPN on a contract deal, and he just won't show up for work the next day because he's an old person who doesn't care. And so I come home like somewhere between tears and just uproarious laughter to tell my fiance about, I can't believe that this is happening. Papi's going to overturn everything we've tried to build up here.
Thank you for clarifying. I didn't know if you meant tears of happiness or sadness.
They're both. You've seen it. You've sat there. I want to get into this with Amin, but before we go down that path, I wanted to go down that path, and then I wanted to go down Amin's analysis path on tonight's game because I thought he had an interesting point when he sort of waved his hand at a television in here and said that based on what we're watching in these finals, he doesn't want to hear any analysis about what's going to happen tonight. Nobody knows how healthy anybody is, the percentages of healthiness. You can't guess what Durant can do if he comes back to play. So Amin is saying, I don't want any more analysis before Game 4 of the finals. But before we get to that, Stugotz sabotaged everything because he and Roy were talking. And Roy, Mike, during the season, entertainment purposes only, Roy gave Stugotz St. Louis plus 750.
Yeah.
To win the title.
He did.
And so Stugotz is thanking Roy, and I say, man, you really should give Roy a gift. Just entertainment purposes only, gift or money. And what Stugotz says to Roy is, Roy, when it happens, if it happens, and I don't want to jinx it, I will give you a hug.
Yeah, I got a hug for him. That's a gift, right? The gift of hugs. Who doesn't like warmth, hugs? Companionship, friendship, love. That's what a hug is all about, especially from me.
I'm not a hug person, Stugotz.
This isn't the first result Roy's ever given you, right? We got to go back and check the records here. If he's given you a lot of losers in the past, technically he probably owes you money.
Well, what Dan left out there is he gave me 3 hockey teams at some point during the regular season. The Blues were one of them. The other 2, obviously.
He knows
not all 3 teams.
He
can
knows
win the
more
cup. I understand
about
that.
hockey than you do. My question is,
why I went to him.
My question to you and the audience is, does Stugotz owe Roy a percentage in this hypothetical example that is entertainment purposes only?
They were plus 750, right?
Yes.
That's more than one hug.
Oh, yeah, that's multiple hugs.
All right, so 2 hugs, 4 hugs,
At
3
750?
Yeah, 5 hugs.
How much you put it down
A hug
on?
a day for the next 750 days, whatever you want, man.
What'd you put down on it? $10?
No, a little more than that.
$20?
I'm in hedge mode right now.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
You got to think about what Roy likes here, Stu. Maybe a few lunches, something simple.
Right, okay.
Will you guys answer the question for me, though?
He deserves a percentage of money, is what you're saying.
I'm asking.
No.
A percentage of something.
No, not for a tip. Hey, you want a hot tip? Australia 12-1 to win the Women's World Cup. There you go for free.
Thank
Have
you,
it.
Mike.
And
Appreciate
I think
that.
they're -110
No,
to win
but
the
you're
group.
giving
friends do.
you
Sam
giving
Kerr,
him
go
a
for
hot
it.
tip is not the same thing as him mining Roy for information so that he can bet on the finals more informed than he would if it were him.
But I go to Mike for soccer. I go to Mike for tennis a lot. Mike gives me tennis winners all the time. And so,
That's why I'm always hearing Tsitsipas in the background. I was
That's our
wondering
dude.
why you guys were always talking
That's our dude.
Tsitsipas.
Yeah, you come back to us when the dude's hogging all the Grand Slammies.
I just don't see it because Roy has given him multiple winners and things over the years. So, he's not always right.
He's not always right, but I mean, the St. Louis Blues at +750, but no one else was saying
No
the St.
one
Louis
was saying
Blues is
that.
pretty
That's
damn
not
good.
what was being said. In fact, it should have been higher than +750.
Put money on the Blues for Game 6. They're winning.
Really?
Oh, now Roy's getting cocky.
Roy,
No, there's no cockiness about this.
Roy,
They're
I'm
winning Game 6.
I'm in hedge mode right now.
Yeah, the best way to hedge isn't go game by game. You can get live action right now at a very nice series price for Boston, considering that they have an elimination game on the road.
Mike, rare is the time when we have sporting events going on while we're playing or while we're doing this. You were marveling at, I'm like, what year is this? I thought it might have been ESPN Classic. Nadal and Federer
Dude,
are sitting there playing again and still for these titles.
Nothing to see here. Keep it moving.
Where are the kids? Kids, is anyone going to come and take their stuff? Nadal and Federer have been at the top of this for a long time.
And Djokovic.
Yeah, we've been trying to tell you, though. Tsitsipas.
So what happened today?
I was planning on watching Nadal Federer throughout the national show today. What a disappointment. 39th matchup between the two, I believe, and Nadal cruises in straight sets. Federer was serving balls into the stand, super frustrated.
He was. That match was supposed to start at 7 a.m. Eastern time, and it was delayed because of weather, and I was with you. It started a little bit later, and I thought we were going to get that match because when Federer and Nadal get together on the red clay, that thing could go 5 hours.
Oh, but what's most fun is ever when we're around here is us being able to live comment. We got that taken away from us. We can never do that from 10 to 1 where we're commenting on live events that people care about as they're happening. It's some of my favorite shows to do.
We have the Joker. He's playing right now. He just started.
It's not quite the same.
I know. I mean, but Dan, you can make an argument that the Joker is the best men's tennis player of all time. You can.
You can?
Oh, you absolutely
Ahead of
can.
Federer?
You absolutely can make that
I'm
argument.
going to make the argument that Nadal, when healthy, is the best tennis player I've ever seen.
Whoa.
When healthy.
Whoa.
Which is a huge thing with him.
How long has it been these three dudes? Because I remember when Djokovic was 19 and playing at Key Biscayne, and everyone was saying, this guy is coming for everything.
Yes.
And how old is Djokovic now?
He's 32.
Yeah,
That was
Djokovic.
13 years ago?
Crazy, yes.
They've been doing this for 13 years?
Yes.
Yeah, Djokovic has got at least 8 more years if we're just going off of Federer and Nadal.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That was 13 years ago that I'm watching Djokovic. I'm in Key Biscayne, and everyone there is saying, this is the guy that's coming for all the things Federer and Nadal. And I'm like, I don't really see it because I'm not a tennis expert. I'm watching it, and he's good, but I'm like, how do you know? How do you know he's so clearly worthy of that? And now in 2019, we're still in the damn same place?
Yep, at 32. He's got 14 majors, and as Mike pointed out, based on what Federer and Nadal are doing, Djokovic could be around for another 8 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
but Tsitsipas is going to be the guy. He already beat Djokovic in the Madrid final. Tsitsipas is only 20 years old. He's coming for it.
This is the reason. I had no idea why. Every day for the last couple of years, I come through here and like heroin dealers making a deal in an alley, I hear either Mike or Stugotz whisper the word Tsitsipas.
Yeah, he used to be a whispered secret, Dan, but now he's coming for it. Now he lost to Wawrinka, who came back out of nowhere.
Wawa.
Yeah, Wawa was 29th in this tournament. Wawa, people were questioning his desire for the game. Wawa out of nowhere in the French Open. And you'd think because Tsitsipas just won Madrid, which is also a clay surface, he'd be in good position to continue advancing and maybe finally take that Grand Slam title at the age of 20. But no, you think because it's clay, it's similar, but it's not. The surfaces play a lot different in terms of speed.
Yeah.
But has it, forgive my ignorance on this, isn't Nadal the one who's always dominant on clay?
Yes.
He's the guy.
Dominant. Like nobody.
Yeah, that's his thing. That's his thing. He's 12-0 in the semifinals. If he gets to this portion of the tournament, he's winning it. He's winning it.
He's won 12.
Well, but
French
that's why
Opens.
Federer. That is why Federer Can you imagine if the NBA Finals today, one of the teams was better, like in outer space, and the other one was like different surfaces is an enormous thing when you're making Federer look like he doesn't know how to play tennis.
Yeah, but Federer has won the French Open. I don't think Nadal
even though it's his
played
worst. Even though it's his worst.
He's only won it
surface.
once, hasn't he?
He only won it once, whereas Nadal has won a bunch of times. Well, he's won twice on grass, and he's won 4 on the hard courts.
Didn't Federer a couple of years ago just straight up skip the French Open to rest his body for
the
next
last couple of years?
Yeah,
Yes,
because he knew that's just a waste of my time because Rafa Nadal exists.
Yeah.
Is there anything quite like that though? Those kind of that proportional disparity on, like, I know teams have their home parks and whatnot, and I know home field advantage and mile high, but something like that. Where else in sports will you find what we're talking about there, which is two guys to be great, but you put them in certain atmospheres, and one of them is going to blow out the other, and that's it. It's either grass or clay, and you're changing so much about the details of the sport that you're overturning the power, and the way you're doing it is by just basically making the floor surface different.
Yeah, I can't really. I mean, what other sport would have different surfaces?
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
though? Like
totally.
if tonight in the finals, we knew that this is going to be dangerous for Golden State because Toronto is really good when their side of the court is trampolini.
I think maybe there's a guy that's only on a roster because he can only do one thing, like Doug Marabelli. He was the only person that could catch Tim Wakefield.
It is crazy though. Tennis. Sampras never won a French Open.
It's a difficult surface.
It's
But
crazy.
what I'm saying,
Think
it's
about
no,
that.
but Mike, it's not a
You
different.
think you stop and you keep going.
Mike, it's
Dan,
not.
it's a totally
no,
different game.
It's,
On the
this
red
is what I'm
clay of Roland
saying.
Garros.
I'm saying that Nadal just won today at a totally different sport than the one that Federer's good at.
You see the surface in Charleston, Stugotz, is a hard court surface, but they put like a bunch of beach sand on it.
Yes, it's
That's
like hard clay. Yes,
What is
it's like
this?
playing on the hard courts.
You're going to lose your ACL.
Yes, but here's the thing: Nadal has beaten Federer on the hard courts as well. I don't think Federer has ever beaten Nadal on the red clay of Roland Garros. I mean,
That's a great idea. Chris Cote, say what you just told me off air on into a mic.
Swimming should do this with different consistencies of water.
love
You
that.
imagine Michael Phelps has to swim in Jello one
That
day?
is a great idea, or a wave pool. How about that?
Chocolate pudding. Go for it, Phelps.
Billy's eyes lit up in a wave pool.
Oh my God! A lazy river where it's like a course. It's not just straight lines. Oh, you go against the lazy river. Is there a difference? I'm going to be made fun of for this. Is there a difference between fresh and salt water in terms of swimming?
Yeah, you are going to get made fun of.
Salt
for this.
is denser.
denser.
Wow.
And it has
That's a
salt in
good
it.
way to end the segment, Billy.
Awesome.
Excellent work.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. Baseball season is in full swing. Tune in tomorrow as Chris Bryant and the Cubs host the Cardinals. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Here's your SportsCenter update. Stanley Cup Final, Game 5. Blues defeated the Bruins 2-1 to take a 3-2 series lead. The decisive goal was controversial due to a potential tripping penalty that was not called right before it. Game 6 in St. Louis is on Sunday. Warriors minority owner Mark Stevens has been banned for 1 year, effective immediately, and has been fined $500,000 for shoving Kyle Lowry in Game 3. Game 4 of the NBA Finals between the Raptors and Warriors is tonight on ABC. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
More than Stu from the Cleveland.
I will lead, and then you're the color man. Mr. Freeze and Guillermo in a very tight suit. Now, Billy gets his lead here. He's getting about a 50-yard lead. Wow, he's already around center field. Here comes Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is making ground on Guillermo, but I got to tell you, Guillermo is hanging strong. He really is. He is hanging strong.
Here comes Freeze. Here
They
comes
are about
Freeze.
to make the turn.
Here
Hold on.
comes
They're
Freeze.
about to make the turn.
Oh, Billy's thrown it into another gear.
Oh, Freeze
Billy's-
is coming.
Oh!
Freeze is coming. Oh, Guillermo with a fall on the finish line.
It's such a night. Sweet confusion under the moonlight.
The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Hulu, which has live sports. Watch live games and all your favorite teams live on Hulu. No cable required. Live TV plan required. restrictions apply.
This feels like one of those days already where the show is going to get away from me because everyone is very Friday, and Billy is at his most Billy.
Oh, God.
And
Peak Billy?
Yeah, just
Me? What did I do?
Yeah, the way you ended that last segment was amazing. It was.
Thank you.
So what it is that I want to do here is get to Amin Elhassan on the eve of Game 4. Golden State's in trouble at home, and you have no idea what you're going to get because of their injury situation. I want to get to Amin Elhassan, Phoenix Suns front office insider, but I'm not going to have time to do that right now because of what's going on with Billy and Chris in the background as Mike Ryan rips Golic Jr.
Oh, boy.
In a way that seems pretty furious. It's about as mad as I have seen Mike at someone who's a part of our ESPN family. But before I get to that, because I do want to get to that, I want in on the conversation you guys were having. We were talking in the first segment about how Roy gave Stugotz entertainment purposes only Blues plus 750, and we were talking about whether or not Stugotz owes Roy a percentage. But then you guys started arguing about what back there because I heard you yelling at each other over Mike yelling about Mike Golic Jr.
Look, these guys back here, we got onto Powerball because we were talking about how much you owe people with bets that you give them. So we're talking about if I give you $5 and I say, you're going to the gas station, grab me a Powerball ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And then you give me that ticket when you get back. How much do I owe you if I win the Powerball?
I mean, how much are you winning in Powerball?
We're saying $200 million after taxes.
$200 million? I mean, technically, you don't owe me anything. I was going there anyways, but the right thing to do is probably, if you want $200 million, I'd say throw the person $1 million maybe.
Okay, now the next level of this is I didn't have any cash on me. Hey, Stugotz, could you grab me a Powerball ticket while you're there, and I'll get you back the cash. You give me the ticket. In between me giving you the cash for the ticket, we find out that I won the Powerball. Now how much do I owe you?
Well, I'm taking the ticket back.
No, I mean, you can't take it back.
The ticket's already in the other it's in your hands already?
Yeah, because you just went to the gas station, got the ticket.
Any particular reason you guys are making Stugotz moral authority on this? Like, I don't believe him for a second that he would give that person $1 million.
Oh,
Not for 1 second do I believe that.
No. It's my ticket. Stugotz is just the one that got it for me.
Yeah. Right. Now you have given me the cash, so I have my cash? Okay.
In this scenario, I didn't have the cash on me.
Right.
I said, Stugotz, can you grab me a ticket?
Yeah.
You come back, hand me a ticket, say, I'll get you next week or tomorrow when I hit the ATM.
Yeah,
But
lawyer up. No, seriously.
Me, you giving
And then we went down a path of winning the Powerball and not wanting to tell anybody because then people are going to be asking you for stuff. And Billy created some game show.
No, don't tell him my idea for a show. It's going to get stolen. Okay. It's such a good show.
Give
And
us
then
the
my
idea,
family's
Billy.
gonna
So
know.
wait a minute. You give us on air the stuff that's no good, and you keep to yourself the stuff that is. That's the career path we've decided on?
All right, fine.
What a jackhole, man.
Well, all right.
On air, you got plenty of all the stuff I don't want.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. Number one, once you hear this, you're not going to want it either. So I already know that's going to happen. But I've had this plan for a long time of what I would do if I won the Powerball. But now my family and now my friends are going to know, so it's going to be ruined. So this is what I decided a long time ago. If I ever won the Powerball, what I would do is I can't just flat out say I won the Powerball because then everyone's going to be coming at me wanting money and wanting all these things, right? So I know my friends, I know my family, I know the things that they want, I know the things that would make them happy, I know the things that they would need, right? So if I won the Powerball, what I would do is I would essentially create a fake reality television show that's half reality show, half game show, in which I tell my friends and family, we've been cast on this show, it's crazy. And then I create these different ways in which I'm gifting them the things that they want as prizes, but they don't know that it's coming from me. So they're getting the things that they want, but they don't bug me about it because they don't know that I'm the money man that's giving them all the things that they want. And do we have a
So
camera?
you're a secret lottery winner in this scenario who never reveals himself as the source of the funding for this fake mountain of lies.
To my family and my most trusted people.
But to
know.
the audience, you're giving them, the audience understands the truth, and you hope that your family doesn't hear from any of the members of the audience in the street.
It's a real Truman Show scenario, which I guess I would reveal myself in the series finale of this show that gets canceled after like 8 episodes, only 3 of which were aired on television. But that's what I'd be doing. I'd just be giving people things that I know they want and need without telling them it's me,
You'd
so
be
they
God.
don't bother me. well,
but see, this is
you
what
put it like that, and I feel bad about it now.
This is what we told Billy. You got to make them compete for it, doing demeaning things.
No, that's the thing. Then they totally distort it, and it's like, eat dog poop, and you get this thing you've always wanted. It's like, I don't want to do that. Chris is like, this is great. You know all the things your family hates. My dad hates this. I'd make him do this. And it's like, why is this the direction we go
Torturing your
in?
family.
Yes.
Torturing your family.
It's so distorted.
How far ahead of its time was that Truman Show movie? I mean, wasn't that 20 damn years ago? Didn't all of television change during that time? How visionary was that movie?
Not visionary enough because Ed TV came out first.
That's true. You're right.
Show me the money.
98 for the Truman Show. Do you feel like everyone's rushing to wherever they need to rush to steal Billy's idea?
Laugh all you want. Someone's going to do this show.
It's a good idea, actually. If you can make it happen. I don't know how you make it happen without tearing asunder your family, though.
Well, someone's going to make it happen now, and I'm going to get 0 credits. Just give me an EP credit, people, all right?
You record it all in advance, and you don't release it once they know once it's airing.
Ah, good.
Eddie play.
Ed knew he was on TV. Truman had no idea. That was a big difference.
Mike, I got to get to your outrage. Outrage with Mike
Yeah, I'm really upset.
Oh, yeah, he's upset.
Golic Jr.?
Yeah,
Okay.
they've been flirting with it, and now they've crossed the line.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
They've crossed
boy.
the line, and they're going to get it in the
yeah,
next
I
segment.
always have to calm Sue down and Billy down whenever they feel like their ideas have been stolen. Now I can't.
You can't abide it anymore. All right.
But it's your idea that's been stolen.
Correct.
Yeah, got it.
Golic Jr., evidently someone's coming for your head next segment. This weekend, I'm just going to lay on my Casper mattress, exhausted from trying to keep Stugotz from scheming. All week. Schemes. I'm a ninja playing defense against his schemes, and by Friday I'm tired, and then I rest on my Casper mattress. Tell him, Stugotz.
Well, thank you, Dan. It's the middle of the night. You're tossing and turning, not sleeping, drenched, covered in sweat. It's not the AC. It's your heat-trapping mattress, so get rid of it and get a Casper. The Casper mattress combines 4 layers of pressure-relieving foams for all-night comfort, plus breathable foams are designed to keep you cool all night, all summer long. Sleep cool and comfortable every night. Get a Casper. Try yours for 100 nights with free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com. Use code STU for $100 towards the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code STU. Additional terms and conditions apply. See Casper.com/terms.
Oh, yeah.
We're on the radio, Mina. You laughing in the middle of stuff and pointing at the television as if you don't know. How is
Michael-
it? No, hold on a
I
second.
want to explain to people why I was laughing.
Get out of here. Just
I have to go too?
sit in the penalty box with Mike
Wow.
Ryan. Get out of here.
Oh my gosh.
Mina is so damn flighty. She never knows when she's on the radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by new Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Now with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Tim Kurkjian going to be there in a half hour, 11 a.m. Eastern. Here's your SportsCenter update. Stanley Cup Final, Game 5. Blues defeated the Bruins 2-1 to take a 3-2 series lead. The decisive goal was controversial due to a potential tripping penalty that was not called right before it. Should have been called. It was terrible. Game 6 in St. Louis is on Sunday. Warriors minority owner Mark Stevens has been banned for 1 year effective immediately and has been fined $500,000 for shoving Kyle Lowry in Game 3. Game 4 of the NBA Finals between the Raptors and Warriors is tonight. Kevin Durant has been ruled out. And finally, a man is in custody following a bizarre manhunt that began with a carjacking and ended with him being captured naked inside a chicken coop. Now a word from Farmers.
At Farmers Insurance, we know the sound of a perfect hot air balloon landing. And a less than perfect one. Seen it, covered it. Talk to Farmers.
We are Farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
So many margaritas.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
So Mike's got something for Golic Jr. Amin has nothing in the way of analysis for basketball tonight and says none of us should have analysis or watch analysis. I am curious what you guys want to see happen tonight. Do you want Golden State to go down 3-1 and then here come the reinforcements, or do you want 2-2 and here come the reinforcements?
I would love Golden State to go down 3-1 here, and the reinforcements come in, and let's see if Kevin Durant can win 3 straight.
If they go down 3-1, Mike, if they go down 3-1 and Kevin Durant returns and then they win that series, Durant will, at the very end, have gotten what he wanted all the time before that and spent all the time hissing at everybody for 3 seasons, yelling at everybody because they're not giving him validation. If they go down 3-1, and then he comes back and just that blatantly saves their asses.
Right, and keep in mind, they'd be down 3-1 with 2 of those games on the road. So if they came back and won that, it's KD helping them win 2 games in Toronto.
He would even get Stugotz's respect on that one. At the very end, he would make everyone cave in the last couple of games.
Yeah, if he does all of that and then signs with the Knicks in the offseason, he's got it.
So before we get to Golic Jr., I want to ask you guys this question because Tim Kurkjian's coming on with us in 24 minutes, and I believe we've gotten to the point where we can talk about this freely. Has Tim Kurkjian's segment passed Ron McGill's segment in terms of popularity around here as the most popular segment that we do? I don't know what it is that you put together, whether it's Bob Ryan. Mike puts Bob Ryan guest appearances up there, but I don't know what you guys select. But in 24 minutes, what we do with Tim Kurkjian is something that for us doesn't have a lot of parallels because you always love that. All of you guys, I mean, everything we do, there's somebody out there to scream at us. 30% of the audience is screaming, we're doing it wrong.
But for 12 minutes a week, no one screams at us for Tim Kurkjian.
And so I'm wondering, are you guys...
Well, except for Tim.
Is this,
that's
right.
True, yes.
Is this blasphemy? Is it blasphemy? Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is the Tim Kurkjian segment the most popular we do? And then secondary poll question, is it blasphemy to suggest that there is something more popular than Ron McGill's animal segment around here?
I go Kurkjian. I don't know about you guys.
Billy?
Weekend observations.
Ah, thank you, Bill.
Definitely McGill.
Bob Ryan.
Do you have a vote, Stugotz? Because I think I'm ready to knock Ron McGill off of the mountain and put Tim Kurkjian there because I love him so much. Last week, the outpouring that Kurkjian got because his dogs got lost during our segment, and our audience wanted to go find his dogs with him, like wanted to help him out. And it's just because that dude is forever decent. Like, there aren't a whole lot of people who don't like Tim Kurkjian. I know of only one in the building, and it's just because Tim Kurkjian laughed at the one time that we put that dude. You guys don't know this story? There's one person around ESPN. I thought I've told you this story. One person at ESPN who has dared to publicly not like Tim Kurkjian in a way that was infuriating to me. I want to name names. I don't know if I should. ESPN has gotten in the way of very little of what we do around here. One of the things they tried to get in the way of was that zoo segment. And one of the ways they tried to get in the way of it is this looks like segment because some of the personalities in the building were getting upset because we were telling the audience, it's okay to say that Chris Berman is, looks like a Beethoven statue melting in your car passenger seat during the summer. Like, that's okay. And Chris Berman, to his credit, never said anything. But I got a call from the talent office one time, and they told me to stop doing that to ESPN people because of what one person did to Tim Kurkjian, which is Tim Kurkjian laughed on our show at a looks like. I don't remember which one it was. Tim Kurkjian walked through the halls. All he was doing.
Oh, wow. Never know, man.
You never do.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Save that, man. I want to hear the end of it.
I know who you're talking about now, by the way.
Yeah, you don't need to keep talking.
You tell me off air.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I got some AAA batteries in here. I got to sift through them. Hold on.
Is Amanda Gifford scared right now?
No longer in the talent office, by the way.
Really?
It was unbelievable to me, man. Unbelievable. And one day, me and Tim Kurkjian will tell the story. In fact, I think maybe we'll charge
You have
people.
to respect the credit.
Yeah.
Save it for the book.
Yep.
Question is, what do you think of clowns? This is actually apropos because
That is amazing.
It is
so
it is-
ironic.
Yes,
That
can you believe it? It is
shocking. Oh,
This,
no.
no!
Wow.
This gave me the
Wow.
chance to talk about
Wow. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
what that clown did to Tim Kurkjian.
Respect the greats.
I have never heard a double
Respect the crate.
crate situation. This is a fantasy football question.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
No!
Great situation.
This is 2 in a row that it's giving me
Respect the great.
the opportunity to take out this clown.
You're being very difficult right now. Let's go.
Where do you mind not waiting? Where do you not mind waiting? Is that what the question should
Okay,
be?
yeah,
Well,
so
we want
I
someone
think I get it.
dyslexic put this in here.
Yeah, Chris has been writing the questions lately.
Whoa.
What is the question then, Chris?
Where do you not mind waiting?
I didn't write that one, but
Where do you mind not waiting is the question.
So
Where am I
there's
not
dentist's
waiting?
office, but I mind waiting there.
the laundromat.
Doctor's office, I mind waiting there.
This is a really great. Oh,
A concert that I'm like
No, I
excited
mind
to
I
see.
don't like
I
waiting.
like
Yeah, I don't really like to wait.
What happened, Chris?
Carvel, are you cool waiting?
Carvel's a
Carvel, I
great
will
wait.
wait in a line that
game
is a
over.
day long for Carvel.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
I had coffee with my colleague half an hour ago.
Support the people who support us.
Yes, Subway. Any place that they're actually crafting the
Yes,
meal.
correct.
Or Quiznos, where I
Yes.
could actually see it getting
Oh, I
toasted.
No,
love
no,
when it-
no,
I
no,
love
no.
when it goes to the toaster. Yeah.
At Subway, it's the worst when someone is just looking at every single thing they got to put on there. Oh, I'll take 3 pickles. I'll take 4 It's like, no, just a handful, and you can take off what you don't want. Enough with you.
Bombas, Stugotz, tell the people how they can help support us.
Yep, Bombas are the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. I love them, guys. I'm telling you, I'm wearing them right now. I mean, I never imagined, I never even thought about it, how much socks could help your feet, and the fact that there's a company out there that are putting together socks and sending them to you, and they are socks in your actual foot size. And that's what makes them the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. Made from premium cotton, Bombas stay warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and every pair comes with a built-in blister tab, innovative arch support, stay-up technology, and a seamless toe. With many colors, patterns, lengths, and styles, Bombas look great in the gym, at the office, and out on the town. Bombas are what your feet are daydreaming about right now. I promise you, they are. And for every Bombas purchase you make, this is important, guys. Listen up here, because you're going to buy the most comfortable socks in the world, and Bombas is going to do something very, very nice. For every Bombas purchase you make, Bombas donates a pair to someone in need. How about that? You get the most comfortable socks. They send the most comfortable socks to someone in need when you buy them. Buy your Bombas at bombas.com/Dan today and get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Dan for 20% off. Bombas.com/Dan.
This is the Dan.
Maybe you're not singing, but you definitely stand up to stretch.
Oh, yeah. Always stand up to stretch in the 7th inning, yes.
Even at home? Like, even if you're at home watching
No.
the game?
No.
I love the idea of baseball being so slow that a time-honored tradition is a stretching segment in the 7th inning.
Save my lower back. Ugh.
said Tim Kurkjian's going to be here in 10 minutes, our newly appointed most popular segment, 786-456-4837 if you have etiquette questions or any kind of questions for Tim Kurkjian. But, Mike, what are you looking to have America know about the Golics? We've told you before, there's some fraudulence there. Their name isn't actually Golic. It's Golic, but they cleaned it up for America. And then they hired Golic's kid to work next to him. But Golic has an outstanding bet against this show for now 2 or 3 years where he has to rub Stugotz. Like, he's loyalty guy on the radio. You got to be a good teammate. You got to honor your contract. And then he loses a bet and he doesn't rub the glute of Stugotz. He still owes that bet because Notre Dame lost to Miami a couple of years ago.
Welcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so now what's happened here with Golic Jr., on top of Welchers, they're thieves. It's not just that you can't trust them with anything, but they're thieves.
Yeah, I always push back on people that said, hey, they're stealing from your show, even when it's relatively obvious. They have a town crier that's suspiciously a lot like the Roy's Realm segment that we do. They do spelling bees. Okay, other people can have spelling bee ideas, but Mike Golic Jr. this week was singing Usher's Nice and Slow. A Mike on ESPN radio singing Usher's Nice and Slow. Where have we heard that before, guys? Where?
Can the argument be made that you stole that from Usher?
No, no one ever sang it on the radio. No, well, Usher sang it on a track, and then it got played on radio, but no ESPN personality had ever sang it.
He didn't sing it live on the radio is what Mike
said. So, Billy,
we got it as a rejoin.
Right,
it's
right.
honored daily here. Mike Golic Jr. listens to this show, and it's really getting hard to defend this theft.
Billy, whose side are you taking on this? Did you just go scamper over to the Golics?
No. He's definitely a thief. I'm just saying. I mean, we didn't invent the song. Usher did.
They're very big and very strong, the Golics.
Yeah, you don't want to cross
them. Go leeches.
Mike Go Thief.
What? What'd you say?
No, that was good. That was good. Oh.
See ya.
Yeah. You don't even have to say it.
Yeah, they'd make one of their producers walk into the ocean if they had a body of water in that horrible town.
I want to break some news to you. They have a penalty box now.
No, get out of here, Cote. Walk into the ocean that the Goliches are soon to steal from us if they can.
So Jason Fitz is now, I guess, a regular part of their show, and they have him sitting in what they call the penalty box, and I'm certain they will put others in the penalty box at some point. I'm just letting you guys know.
No, that can't
is
be
Jason
true.
Fitz providing funny, quirky updates to his sports centers? I bet you that's coming next. And finally,
it's already started.
Oh God,
I mean,
they're
he
powerful.
sings through some of them. I mean,
Don't cross them. Don't even float out the idea of them stealing the Atlantic Ocean because they will, and we will no longer be on the beach.
yeah, they do have a body of water up there where, like, Aaron Hernandez, there was like scuba divers.
Yeah,
but that's the only
right.
body of water.
That is the only time I learned that. You know what? You are so right about that. The only time I learned that Bristol had a lake is when we were trying to fish out Aaron Hernandez's murder weapon out of it.
Well, this took a turn.
Huh.
Factual. We have to be factually correct here. Without order, there is chaos.
Okay.
Are we still friends with the Golics or not?
Don't the Golics remind you of the O'Doyles from Billy Madison?
Mike, are we feuding with them or not? Because let's escalate it.
We're 2 or 3 or 15 more thefts away.
Kurkjian next.
Estás escuchando el programa de Dan Le Batard, and it's time to talk baseball with Tim Kurkjian.
Shimmy, shimmy, ya. Shimmy, yam, shimmy, ya. I'm a dirty old dog all day. No way, Jose. Your girl only go one way. Ah, ye madre.
Every week during the baseball season, ESPN's premier baseball insider joins Dan and Stugotz to drop some hardball knowledge and take your calls.
2 + 2, I'm gonna undress you. 3 and 3, you're gonna undress me. 4 and 4, we're gonna freak some more.
Here is Dan Le Batard, Stugotz, and Tim Kurkjian on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, protecting commercial vehicles and offering ways to protect small businesses from financial loss and liability. More at progressivecommercial.com. Tim Kurkjian going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Takes your phone call, 786-456-4837. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Braves have reached a one-year deal with Dallas Keuchel worth $13 million. Keuchel previously turned down a $17.9 million qualifying offer from the Astros, hoping for a lucrative multi-year deal. The Eagles have signed Carson Wentz to a 4-year contract extension. He's guaranteed $107.9 million, and the maximum value of his contract can escalate to $144 million. And finally, over the years, the small Vermilion Heritage Museum in Alberta, Canada, tried everything in its power to unlock an old safe tucked away in its basement. The museum hired blacksmiths. Call the
museum?
Yeah, what am I saying?
You always say museum.
It's a Long Island thing, man. Blacksmiths called the manufacturer, contacted former employees and challenged guests to play around with the safe, but nobody had any success until last month when a visitor cracked the code on his first try, much to the astonishment of everyone present. The contents of the safe proved a little disappointing. Some papers, old checks, a waitress's notepad, and a receipt from a hotel was all that was in there. With the Vivid Seats app, it's easy to find awesome seats to any game. Go to the App Store or Google Play and download the app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid Seat. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
If you want to talk to Tim Kurkjian, etiquette questions, baseball questions, anything you got for him, he is our most decent human being. Recently awarded by the universe. He is the most decent human being. So if you want to talk to him, 786-456-4837. Many of you love him. Many of you worried about him last week because he lost his dogs. Tim, you want to tell the audience that everything's okay?
Yes, I recovered both rescue dogs. I rescued both of them. They were wandering on close to a big street, which was dangerous, but they're home. They were safe. They were only gone for about 3.5 hours, and nobody got hurt along the way. So everything's okay. Thank you.
Wasn't the worst thing that happened to Tim last week, though. Last week he told us that George Fabregas hit for the cycle, and he was wrong.
Yeah.
He was absolutely
And he was
wrong.
despondent upon it, right?
Yeah.
Whenever Tim Kurkjian makes a mistake on the radio, the way that he ravages himself is unreasonable. He doesn't realize that we have no such standard around here. We do not care whether things are gotten wrong, and we're just amazed by his lies. Statistical lies. Ken Griffey Jr. did indeed strike out 21 times in high school. And who was it that hit for the cycle?
It was George Kateris instead of George Fabregas.
You can hear the
As
pain,
I attempted to explain in a very weak fashion, I was out of sorts. I lost my dogs, and I was worried and I wasn't thinking clearly. No excuse.
Mike, seriously. We need to berate him, right? Because he made this mistake, and it's an unacceptable mistake around here. And his excuse making about, I was worried about my dogs. They were gone for 3.5 hours. It's kind of bullpleep in the world of sports. Like, you're not being in any way accountable, and you're not living up to our standards around here.
Whose fault is it that your dogs ran away?
That's
I
right.
mean,
Your
seriously.
fault.
Yep.
Well, somebody left the gate open.
Oh.
And it might have been me, but I'm not sure. So I'm blaming nobody but myself for George Fabregas and for this.
Well, who let the dogs out?
As we speak, the new fence person is coming in to see if we can keep the dogs in a better way.
786-456-4837 is the telephone number if you want to talk to Tim Kurkjian. We were also all jarred. Tim, you are a journalism pillar. You do what you do better than most people at our company do anything. And we found out a couple days ago via Twitter that on a 3.5-hour flight that you were trapped on a middle seat on United and you were just playing Clayton Kershaw anagram games because of course you were. And we were wondering, why are you not flying first class?
Well, I'm only allowed to fly first class for anything over 2 hours. In this case, my flight got canceled, so they had to put me on another flight, which didn't have anything but a middle seat. And when I say a middle seat, I'm surrounded by people. I couldn't move. I couldn't even take my computer out to work because the guy in front of me, of course, leaned back in his chair, so I was trapped. There was nowhere to go. So I had no choice. I had to do Clayton Kershaw anagrams. Otherwise, I would have died of boredom.
I imagine Tim sits crisscross applesauce when sitting in the middle seat.
You're so small. I would imagine that you're one of the few people, Tim, and I don't mean this as insult, that a middle seat would actually be okay for.
Yes, this is one of the few benefits of being 5'5" and 44 pounds is that I can sit in the middle seat a lot more comfortably than most people. But this was not a comfortable flight, and I was trapped. And of course, the guy to my right was fast asleep, so it was a really tricky day. So I'm glad I got through it.
I feel like Tim Kurkjian, Dan, don't you? I feel like he deserves first class more so than anyone in this company. First class, any flight he takes.
It's those stupid rules that they.
Well, just to finish though, after we flew to Houston, 3.5 hours, I'd get on another plane and fly to Tulsa. Then we had to rent a car and drive from Tulsa to Oklahoma City in order to cover the women's college softball championship. So that was my day, and I said it many times, traveling is a violation, and that was just another reminder.
I love Tim Kurkjian on merit and just how kind he is. It's a solid argument that he deserves first class more than anyone in this company, but he is too small to be just given first class. He's over here complaining about how the person in front of him reclined his seat back. Tim, you're not the tallest guy in the world. You don't deserve first class more than Bill Walton, where coach would just straight up be painful for him. You can tolerate it because of your temperament and because of your height.
And because you do anagrams.
I didn't complain about it. You guys asked me why I wasn't in
Don't
first
need
class.
should.
It was on Twitter. You were complaining about it.
You
It
should
was on
complain.
Twitter.
Right.
You were complaining about it.
Bill Walton needs first class way more than I do. That is not in dispute.
Tim, you said that after these flights, you then had a long road trip. I'm wondering, one, who was on the road trip with you, and what does Tim do on a road trip? Do you sing? What happens?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no singing, but we had others from ESPN that were on the trip with me. Mike Bazzani, who's one of our researchers, was on the trip. We had producers on the trip. So just a bunch of us got trapped. Greg Colley, our producer on Baseball Tonight, was on the trip. And we were all trapped together. So it was strength in numbers, and nobody complained. We did our best, but it was a disaster.
Tim, do you have a favorite game for long road trips? Like I Spy, the
Punch Buggy, 99 bottles of beer on the
license
wall.
plate game, going on a picnic.
No, not really. I always have to refresh my memory on who's got the most home runs for each letter of the alphabet.
Of course.
I always do that.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Hey.
Wait a minute. You always have to refresh what? I want the audience to understand.
I want to do this.
We're going to do another segment with Tim Kurkjian here if
T.
he's got the time for us.
X.
Go T.
But hold on. What
J.
did you just say you're doing on flights? You're refreshing your knowledge
This
of
is road trips. In
Road
the car.
trips.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, on road trips, you're refreshing your knowledge of what?
Well, this is if I'm trapped and I have nothing else to do. I can't do anything, so I try to refresh my memory to make sure that I know who has the most home runs for each letter of the alphabet. So A, of course, is Hank Aaron.
Hold on,
B
let's play
is
this
Barry
game. Hold
Bonds.
on.
Hold up.
Let's play
up,
the game.
hold
We
up.
want to play the game with you.
So it's by last name. Okay.
Let's see if he gets anything wrong here, because he might get it wrong, and then he's going to apologize next week and make up some other excuse about
This
fake
seems
dog.
very difficult to mess up. And it also seems, given his recent history, like Tim Kurkjian's going to get a lot of these wrong.
Listen, let's each throw out a random letter here. Don't go
Let's
in
just
order.
go through the
okay?
I take his
alphabet.
word
Why not?
for it.
I don't think you go through the alphabet. He's memorized it. I
No,
think.
hold on.
I'm with Stu.
Yeah.
I'm with Stu.
Yeah.
You just start in the obvious
It's
place.
more impressive.
All
yeah.
right, do it. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
The obvious place you start is L.
L is Carlos Lee. Not Derek Lee, Carlos Lee.
El Caballo.
Billy, you want to throw a letter at him?
R.
R is Babe Ruth.
The Bambino.
S.
S is Sammy Sosa.
X.
There are no X's. No one's ever played in the Major League.
Billy, you're terrible at this game, okay?
Wow.
Terrible at this game.
B.
B
Oh, for the
is
love
Barry
of
Bonds.
God, you
You're
guys.
good.
A.
Come on. Come
A is
on.
Hank Aaron.
R.
I just told you it's Babe Ruth.
Oh.
All right, all of you go sit in the penalty box. Just everyone, get out of here. Just everyone.
I didn't do anything.
786-456-4837 is the telephone number.
L.
Get out of here.
El Caballo.
All I want to do is
gotta leave
zoom,
the rock-
zoom, zoom,
Come on, read.
and then boom, boom.
What do I do?
Go read it in the penalty box.
No.
Give
Give it to Dan. Give it to Dan. Give it to Dan.
Just give it to Dan. Dan has to read it.
Ooh, is Z Todd Zeal?
We're going to come back with Tim Kurkjian in a second. 786-456-4837. Why? Billy doesn't get to stay here either. Come in here and bring the live spot. No, bring it to me, and I will do it. Everybody out. You guys botched that.
I didn't do anything.
You pushed me off of doing this in a way with Tim Kurkjian that would have been good, and you instead just asked the worst questions, all of you, to bother me. The Black Tux. I told you before that they bailed me out at one of Pablo's weddings. Well, not one of Pablo's wedding. Pablo's wedding. I didn't have the proper gear, so they sent something to me, and I looked presentable at the wedding. This is what they could do for you. Wedding season is upon us. You're going to be doing it big and going out to all of your buddies' weddings. That's where the blacktux.com comes in. The Black Tux is your one-stop shop for modern fitting suits and tuxedos at half the price of what even the budget rental companies cost. They even offer free home try-on. Stand out at your event for the right reasons with the Black Tux. You get $20 off of your purchase. Visit theblacktux.com. Enter code Dan. This is the way that you help us and our sponsors. You go there, even if you're not doing it. Just go there, check out what they're doing. Visit theblacktux.com. Enter code Dan if you are getting something. blacktux.com, code Dan. $20 off of your purchase. This is the way that works around here, basically. You support these things that our sponsors are supporting, and by going and doing what it is that I'm asking you to do here, going to theblacktux.com and entering code Dan, and what will happen is we'll do more shows around the country, more content, more of the stuff you like.
You are listening to The Imagine Show.
2 + 2, I'm going to undress you. 3 and 3, you're going to undress me. 4 and 4, we're going to freak some more.
Here is Dan Le Batard, Stugotz, and Tim Kurkjian on ESPN Radio.
Get in touch with the show anytime to the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Le Batard Show at Stugotz790. If you missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC. Dan, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Tim Kurkjian continues with us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
The telephone number is 786-456-4837. We'll get to some calls with you and Tim in a second. But first, does Pat Shurmur look like the father in a movie who is reading his newspaper in the living room as his children try to sneak their new alien friend right past him? Does Andy Ruiz look like a Comcast cable technician? Does Steve Kerr look like the guy who wins your local charity 5K race every single year? Does Jackie McMullen look like the lady who accidentally spills a glass of red wine on the carpet in the commercial for a deep cleaning vacuum? Matt, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Matt. I think we lost him. David, you're on with Kurkjian. Go ahead.
Hey, Tom. I'd just like to know to whom I can turn in my resume to become your personal umbrella holder at games that you cover. Thanks, guys.
Personal assistant. Somebody is looking for a personal assistantship. Have you ever had an assistant, Tim?
No, never. And I can't have one with my bizarre schedule. I don't want one. I work better on my own. It's very kind of people to offer, but I work a bizarre schedule with home and work, and I need to do this by myself, and I just don't feel right saying, hey, make a flight reservation for me. That's my responsibility, so I do it by myself.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. Mike, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Mike.
Tim, has there ever been an unassisted triple play completed by an outfielder?
Chris Speaker holds the record early 1900s for most unassisted double plays. He's got a whole bunch of them. It's some bizarre number. But my guess is no, it's never happened that there's been an unassisted triple play by an outfielder. I think that's more than a guess. It would have to take the perfect scenario, and I don't see that happening.
Tim, Mike, and I think Billy and Chris as well, we have all marveled at the Minnesota Twins early on here. I mean, this team can mash. Are you buying in on the Twinkies?
Yeah, I'm buying in that they're the best team in the Central and they're going to make the playoffs. I can't see them scoring this many runs or hitting this many homers all season, but they're way better than they were last year. They're much better than I thought they were going to be, and I thought they were going to be much improved. But they still have got, eventually, the Yankees, the Astros, and the Red Sox, potentially, to go through in the American League at the end. And at this moment, I don't like their chances if those teams go to where I think they're going to go.
Tim, I have the list of all the unassisted triple plays in the modern MLB era. How many do you think there have been?
I think we've been over this. I think it's like 10, something like that, 12.
15.
Wow.
How many can you name?
Oh, God.
I don't know.
No,
Well,
there's no shame here. I just know that you know some.
Billy Wamgaz, whatever his name is, from the 20s. Randy Velarde, Mickey Morandini, Ron Hansen, Troy Tulowitzki.
So far, he's all right.
He's a machine.
Tulo.
Man. He is a bleeping machine. It's crazy. He's a savant.
There's
He's like
one
Rain
other.
Man.
There's one other modern. There's one other active player. You named Tulo. Who's the other one?
Oh, God darn. Pressure is so enormous.
It's not, Tim. It's not because
but for him it
Tim,
is. It's everything.
Tim, it's not because I know you've been waiting for this game all your life, but everyone's already amazed, Tim. The fact that you might miss a couple is not a reason to go hard on yourself.
Also, no one cares except for you, Tim.
Okay, I don't know who the last one is. I can't
Second
remember.
baseman. Second baseman.
Well, that's
AL Central.
AL Centrals.
They've been your pick, I think, the last couple of years to win that division, right, Mike?
Well, then that's got to be the Indians, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Active?
Well, their second baseman has been Jose Ramirez, but he's also been their third baseman.
Right.
Let's see, guy from Stanford.
Well, let him work it out.
See, this is what happens. The guy from Stanford. I can't believe I've had a brain cramp on the air.
You've forgotten his name, Tim? You're an incompetent.
This happened in 2008, Tim. Who was the second baseman in 2008?
Well, that's a different one that I'm thinking about.
It is, because this is Asdrubal Cabrera, Tim.
Yeah, Tim, I'm starting to think that you're the one that forgot to close the doors on that gate.
Yes, we all are, Tim. We all are. You're responsible for your dogs getting lost. How could you not remember Cabrera? Is it because he was a shortstop?
Well, I was thinking he's on the Indians now as opposed to then. Look, no excuse. I got this wrong. I left the gate open. I lost the dog. I missed Ken Griffey Jr. I've made a lot of mistakes lately. I'm really sorry.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
Drink all day, play all night. Show.
2 + 2, I'm gonna undress you. 3 and 3, you're gonna undress me. 4 and 4, we're gonna freak some more.
Here is Dan Lebatard, Stugotz, and Tim Kurkjian on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. More with Tim Kurkjian in just a minute here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Braves have reached a one-year deal with Dallas Keuchel worth $13 million. Keuchel previously turned down a $17.9 million qualifying offer from the Astros, hoping for a lucrative multi-year deal. Bad decision. The Eagles have signed Carson Wentz to a 4-year contract extension. He's guaranteed $107.9 million, and the maximum value of his contract can escalate to $144 million. And finally, a St. Augustine man likely would have gotten away with ducking a traffic stop if he had not called 911 to boast about it, authorities said. Stugotz is strong in that person. No time to wax your car. Introducing new 303 touchless sealant. It's a quicker, easier alternative to traditional vehicle waxing. Simply spray on and rinse off, offering twice the protection and shine of traditional wax. Available at O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit 303automotive.com today. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Tim Kurkjian, gracious enough to spend some more time with us here. One of the many things about him that is great is that No one cares more about baseball than he does. And the things that he cares about in baseball, nobody cares about them the way he cares about them. So, of course, in lonely times, he is redoing the alphabet and who leads by last name. And so real quick, I want to go through some of these other letters. Darrell Evans.
Remember that guy?
Darrell, not Dwight.
Yes, Darrell Evans hit 411 homers.
Wow.
F.
F is Jimmy Fox.
G.
G is Ken Griffey Jr.
K.
K is Harmon Killebrew.
Yeah, that one was too easy. That one he brushed me off with.
Now he's building confidence. I do want to tell him that Darrell Evans had 414 career homers, Tim. Sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
Tim.
I'm sorry.
Tim, what?
All right. I missed by 3.
Not acceptable.
Let's hear Z. Is it Todd Zeal?
No, this is great. Ryan Zimmerman passed Todd Zeal, I want to say last year, and the same year, Justin Upton became the all-time U, the same year that Ryan Zimmerman became the all-time Z. So we had 2 changes in the alphabet in the course of the season. That's the kind of stuff that I really like.
Who did Upton pass?
Upton passed. It was Chase Utley and Dan were like back and forth, and Upton moved past both of them.
What a year, Tivy, huh? Uggs.
Yeah. And it happened in like a 2-week span. I was so excited.
What a strange thing to be excited about. So, like, were you? Is you the most competitive of the alphabet?
Well, yeah, U is a pretty hard one. I don't have the alphabet in front of me, but there's some other tricky ones, I think. Like O used to be Mel Ott, but David Ortiz has passed him.
Poppy.
P used to be Rafael Palmeiro, but Albert Pujols passed him. Q was the really, really hard one. You know, we had Jamie Quirk and a few other guys along the way, but Carlos Quinton is the one with the most for the letter Q.
Quirky.
Tim, which letter is the weakest in terms of home runs?
Well, X. X doesn't have any, but outside of X.
Outside of X. In terms of the last names that qualify.
Well, you would think with the letter N that you would have better, and I don't mean better as a player. Greg Nettles has the most with the letter N, and he's not at 400. So he's less than 400, you would think. And you would think someone with an L might have more than 400, but as I told you, it's Carlos Lee. Raul Ibanez.
El Caballo.
I, right, and he got to 250. I is a difficult letter, but he got to 250, so that was pretty good.
Does Mike Leach look like he's not surprised to be waking up naked inside of a crop circle again? Does George Hill look like the first victim of a zombie apocalypse? That's a good one. Does Jared Goff look like the guy who receives a corporate email regarding changes to the drug testing policy and accidentally reply alls with what exactly will you be testing for? Ryan, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead.
Good morning, Tom. Got a quick question. Are Hot Tamales and Mike and Ike in the Jelly Bean family?
Yes. I mean, anything that chews enough to stick to your teeth has to be in the Jelly Bean family. And I have to tell you this, guys. H, this is the greatest one ever. H is a tie at 382 homers, and both guys have the same name. It's Frank Howard and Ryan Howard.
How about that?
How great is that?
Amazing. Oh, what a day, Tim.
Tim, we are all studying you right now like just a fascinating baseball weirdo. Like, we can't believe you still care about this in your 60s in a way that's really odd.
And awesome.
Look, I'm not proud of this. This is just how it works around here. I don't know anything else. I've been abundantly clear about that. So this is the kind of stuff I should know if I'm not going to know about anything else.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Are Mike and Ikes and hot tamales in the Jelly Bean family? And is it amazing that the H category has 2 Howards in it?
If you're going by sticking to your teeth, I mean, that means Starburst or Jelly Beans, Tim. I don't know if that's the way you could do it.
We're jawbreakers.
Twizzlers.
Jolly
Yeah, but
Ranchers.
I think it's got to be kind of circular, kind of cylindrical for it to be a Jelly Bean family, doesn't it?
If that's another way of saying circle, then I guess. I mean,
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Can a jelly bean be a square? I guess is what Kurkjian is asking, right? Can a jelly bean be a square?
Nothing makes me happier than Tim saying, "How great is that?"
But it's usually not great, right? It's only great because he thinks it's great because it's something that's terribly not great.
He's having a good day, Dan.
Austin, you're on with Tim Kurkjian. Go ahead, Austin.
Tim, are dogs allowed on the couch? And if so, are couch covers required?
Our dogs are allowed on the couch. They're allowed in bed. They're allowed in the car. They're allowed everywhere. And it's because we love our dogs. Can't help it. Probably shouldn't do this, but that's the way it works.
Greg, you're on with Kurkjian. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, hey, Tim. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the Braves signing Dallas Keuchel, and do you think he could legitimately bring some needed stability to the rotation? Thanks.
Yes, great sign for the Braves. They need another starting pitcher to help them go to the playoffs in that division, and they're going to need more than that, though, if they're going to beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. But a really nice step forward for the stretch run for the Braves.
All right, we got a lot of Nick Nurses here. Are you ready? Does Nick Nurse look like a mob boss accountant? Or does he look like the guy at the wine tasting who says he wouldn't serve this Chardonnay to his dog and then spikes his tiny cup into the trash in disgust? Or does he look like the guy on a competitive cooking show who gets ripped by the judges for overcooking a risotto? Or does he look like the guy in a car commercial sitting in the window of a downtown cafe who spills his coffee on his shirt as he watches the latest luxury sedan smoothly glide by? Tim, thank you for tolerating us for as long as you did today. Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys. See you.
See you, Timmy.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo!
9 days till Father's Day. You know what my Father's Day is going to do? What my father's going to do on Father's Day? He's going to blow up my career. That's what he's going to do.
Happy
Happy Father's Day. Thanks. Tissot, people. Tell the people, Stugotz, how they can get something for their father that is classy and great.
This Father's Day, gift dad a Tissot. Tissot is the official watch of the NBA, and the Tissot NBA collection offers different timepieces in all 30 teams, plus the newest edition. The Tissot Chrono XL NBA Collector is made with official Spalding game ball leather. Every Tissot timepiece delivers quality performance and traditional luxury at an unbeatable price. Shop the Tissot collection, at us.tissotshop.com today and at select watch and jewelry stores nationwide.
what happened with Beyoncé and Beyoncé's fans and how mad they were at that woman who kept talking across Beyoncé to talk to Jay-Z. This seemed, she says she's gotten death threats because she dared to disrespect Bey in a way that all of us noticed.
Well, she asked Jay-Z what he wanted to drink. Beyonce wanted water, and I think Jay-Z wanted vodka and water. And she didn't hear him correctly, and so she leaned over. Now, Beyonce didn't help matters because I believe Beyonce gave her a dirty look, and that set the Beehive in motion. I mean, that's where it took off.
The Beehive needs to get over themselves.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
I'm serious.
Careful.
We love you. We care about you. Don't do this to us.
Glad you said it.
I'm not a
He's having She's having a harmless conversation with Jay-Z, asking him what he wants to drink, even if she wasn't asking about drinks.
Chris, we care for you. Stop.
What are you doing, Chris? Have you lost your mind going where no one in sports radio has gone before?
You just say Kobe Bryant's overrated.
Beyonce's overrated.
Whoa, my no.
Wow.
Chris.
Wow.
Chris.
Ocean time, man. You gotta get out of here.
Chris, like, is that the first ever opinion so horrific, so awful in a show that includes Stugotz?
Hey, thanks.
That there is no punishment we could give large enough. What are you doing, Amin?
I care about him. I just want the cameras to turn off and turn away. Just look away already.
Don't even
look away. Show them.
Don't even get me started on Taylor Swift.
No.
Take him out of here. Somebody drag him out of here. Like, just get him out of here.
I agree with him on that one, though.
Oh, my. What?
I hope you mean Strohmile Swift.
Stugotz agrees with him? We're going to have to kick Stugotz out of here for that offense, too.
What?
We're going to have to keep him out of here for an hour for agreeing with Chris on Taylor Swift and Swiftie.
I've been on this for a while with Chris, I think. I mean, the Grammys have turned into the Taylor Swift show. It's her and her bunch of friends and entourage, and the cameras are on them the entire time, and it's all annoying.
Not just the Beehive, too. Beyonce, too. Why do you have to give this lady a nasty glare? Okay.
You're going to stay there? You're going to entrench yourself on this position.
Did she ask Beyonce what she wanted to drink? How about that?
Yeah, she did.
You did?
Yeah, and Beyonce said water.
All right, then. Good.
Yeah.
Hey, Rihanna, why don't you come out with a new album?
What? Are you
Chris,
kidding me?
I mean,
are you kidding me?
It has to be said. Someone has to say it. We're all thinking it.
No one has to say it.
I'm not associated with this guy.
How many wars on how many fronts do you want that you don't want? Because you don't want any of these wars that you're welcoming. These people are crazy the way that they will demolish you. None greater, stronger, more zealously than the Beehive.
BTS, more like BS.
Oh, boy, now you've done it.
I can't protect you anymore.
Okay.
Okay, there's a gathering outside the window right here on Ocean. I don't know, but they look pretty pissed.
I don't think you're allowed to say that, Amin. Do you not know any of the rules around here? You really don't, right? You just you don't know when to talk. You don't know what to say when you talk.
I mean, that's rich coming from Dan. In that context, it's fine.
I mean,
I've been wanting to get to Amin and his. He doesn't want to hear anyone's analysis on this game. He doesn't think that there is a way, I guess, Amin, to analyze this game tonight. That you can't know what you're getting from Klay Thompson. You can't predict what you're going to be getting from any of the injured Warriors.
It's a heady play by Amin because it's his job to analyze the game coming up. So he's saying he doesn't want to hear any of it, which means he doesn't really have to give any.
I'm just tired. I'm tired of hearing all these theories. Klay's hurt. Looney may come back, maybe not. Kevin Durant's hurt. Kawhi's hurt. Too many people are hurt. How do I even know who's going to be out there? And who's out there? Are they 100%? Are they 75%? Are they 74%? It's just too many variables.
This time of year, everyone's hurt, Amin. That's it. This time of year, everyone's playing with pain. That's it.
Speaking of the finals, don't get me started on the Currys. All of them.
No!
Done with them.
You know what?
Basketball,
I might have to leap across this table.
What are we going to do with him? We need to drag him out of here. We need to get him out of here. Get him away from the microphones. He's doing things that shouldn't be done around the microphone.
You send him out in the streets, and that's a death sentence. Yeah. That blood will be on your hands, Dan Le Batard.
No, we have to keep him here.
Beehive, please.
Stop it.
Hey.
You didn't.
Hey.
That was
You're about
my
to step
microphone.
into a beehive.
Oh, no.
I agree with him, though.
Now you're associated.
All right, Stugotz, you're going to have to get out of here.
Hey, Dan, she didn't need to give that look. She's a great performer, and she's beautiful and a great singer. but she didn't need to give that look because that's what created the death threats for this lady. I mean, she didn't need to look at her like that. She was just asking what drink Jay-Z wanted. That's all.
Okay, please leave and do not come back.
Okay.
Just leave. Just get out of here. Amin, help me understand something tonight about something. Give me something in the way of analysis that's different from the analysis that I'm going to hear elsewhere on this network today.
Well, we're going to talk about on highly questionable today, but Klay Thompson had a quote where he said if Kevin Durant doesn't come back, he didn't sound confident about their chances in the series, to which I interpret that not about Kevin Durant, but about how Klay Thompson feels about himself. Because if he was close to 100%, he'd say we're fine. But the fact that he feels like, man, I think we might need Durant tells me that Klay Thompson isn't.
They haven't said at any point here that they need Durant, right? They haven't said
Well, they've said it usually after a win. Like in the postgame, hey, we need this guy, guys. Even as they're winning and rolling.
I thought they've been saying all along, this is so much fun, this is so great, while they were steamrolling Portland. We're enjoying ourselves out there. You know, there's a lot of flow to the offense.
They have, but they also give these backhanded compliments. But we're clearly not as good without Durant, and we kind of need him. They always throw that caveat in, and it's always after a win.
Lemonade was overrated, by the way. I'm serious. Adele should have got album of the year. Actually, now that I think about it, Adele's overrated too.
How are you still here? Okay, get out of my life. Get out of my life immediately. Why does he keep getting let back in? Stugotz gone. I mean, come in here and sit in Stugotz's seat the rest of the way, please. I want to talk basketball with you. The Nets.
Who stinks? Kobe and
Jordan.
Cultivo una rosa blanca on the Dan Le Batard show.
I went into the lab. I wrote a song. I said, oh, the voice of an angel. She can sing this song for us. And I think it accomplished everything you wanted it to.
All right, let's see. We'll all find out together.
Time to talk basketball. Amigos basketball. He'll teach you basketball. Expert in basketball.
2 minutes, get out of here. Ryan was talking about during the break. But before I do that, we've got Amin Elhassan in here. The Nets have opened up 2 max salary slots. That suggests that they know something. I'm going to assume that they know something. You don't start trading pieces unless you feel like you've got confirmations. But before we get to that with Amin Elhassan, front office insider, what were you telling me about McDonald's during the break? How much money
Actually, a pretty interesting story in the sense that McDonald's struck a deal with the Raptors 12 days before the Kawhi Leonard trade that for the upcoming season, for every game that they hit 12 or more three-pointers, we're going to give away free medium fries, right? Which makes a whole lot of sense, right? Because the Raptors weren't a great three-point shooting team. They started to get more to it last year in the last couple of years, but for the most part, they weren't a high-volume three-point shooting team. Well, you acquire Kawhi Leonard, you acquire Danny Green. Guess what? There's a lot more 12-plus three-point games in Toronto Raptors history, right? And so they had budgeted for about 700,000 orders of fries to be handed out during the season. Instead, it was $2 million. That comes out to about $5.8 million in French fries.
That's a good amount of money right there.
Yeah, but when do you ever go to McDonald's just for fries?
Oh, I mean, yeah, sure. You're saying that, hey, look, I went in there, I got the fries. Well, you know what? Let me get a Big Mac, too. Let me do the mix
I'm
and
here.
match.
I might as well get a soda.
My father would totally do that. My father would
Just for the
absolutely
fries?
show up at McDonald's just for the fries. Yes. My father's shoes.
Can I get you anything else? Nope.
My father's shoes are bought in a supermarket for $4.99, and he's now arguing with ESPN over money. $4.99.
Eddie play.
What were you saying, Mike, about your take that has gone over very poorly on the internet?
I had the very lukewarm take that people are responding to Chernobyl and really well, and that it might be viewed as better than Band of Brothers.
I love, incidentally, that Russia has now come forth and said, no, we'll give you our version of Chernobyl. I'm sure that one's the accurate one.
Have you read the details about the Russian Chernobyl that's trying to get off the ground, in which 3 American spies were to blame?
Of course. No, that's going to be amazing. Like, that'll be a comedy. That should win an Oscar as a comedy, whatever Russia makes to combat Chernobyl, because now tourism has gone up in Chernobyl because of what HBO did, right?
Yeah, it was up to 40%, and that was while the show was airing. I imagine now, because it's got actually pretty strong word of mouth, this show, and really strong ratings, and I imagine as the year goes by, people will binge it, and more people will want to visit Chernobyl.
I don't have any desire to visit a place that, according to the show, is going to be feeling the effects of radiation for generations, for 10,000 years.
They cleared out towns around it. Why would you want to go there? To get a magnet? What are you going to get?
I guarantee you, by the way, nobody black is going to Chernobyl on vacation.
Ghost cities do seem to be a fascinating thing, though. Look, no one's actually lived here for several decades, and things are overgrown, and it makes for cool photos.
It's like Pompeii. Yes, people go see Pompeii because that happened like, thousands of years ago. This is... what, 20, 30 years ago?
What was it, 80s?
Yeah, late 80s.
But it was a very lukewarm take. I wasn't saying definitively Chernobyl is better than Band of Brothers, even though, you know what? I believe it to be, because Chernobyl was only 5 episodes, and I, unlike many of the people that are in my mentions, including one Trey Wingo, who went out of his way to DM me. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I have actually rewatched Band of Brothers. I've seen that series 3 times. I love Band of Brothers. It was a star-making vehicle. There's so many stars that you don't even know are in Band of Brothers. When you watch it back, you're amazed. However, Band of Brothers is slow at times. Chernobyl, not slow in any of the parts. And here's another take for you. The Pacific, an offshoot of Band of Brothers, also brought to you by Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg, was the better World War II miniseries by HBO. The Pacific, not Band of Brothers.
Okay, so I want to know, what is it that Trey Wingo felt could not be said to you publicly and had to be done within the confines of a direct message?
He had to tell me that Chernobyl, while great, was no Band of Brothers. To which I say, have you watched Band of Brothers recently? I issue you this challenge because it's slow at times, and that's okay.
There seems to be something missing here. Why wouldn't he just reply as a tweet? Why was that the
because I didn't
secrecy of
tweet it
DM?
out. It was something that I said. Because if I tweeted it out, this thing would have gone viral, considering all the people that have watched Band of Brothers recently.
And it's because he means business. When you mean business, you go to DM.
Yeah.
Is that a fact?
So help me understand how it is that the internet would get really mad at you for what you said, dared to say about a war movie, but Robin Quivers could say what she's saying with just horrible timing. It is the most fireable offense in the history of the Stern Show, and that's saying something.
Man, I was listening.
What did she say?
Yeah, whoa, that is saying something. I was listening live. I hadn't listened to the Howard Stern Show in years, and she was doing the news as she does, and it was D-Day, and she was reading a report, and she had the take of takes that she was like arguing that the people that were in the boats about to storm the beach weren't that brave because they had no choice in the matter, and that they were afraid, and Howard tried to help her immediately. I was like, Robin, what are you doing? If this were like a more conventional show or maybe on a more traditional medium and not just on satellite radio, that would have been a thing.
Thank God we helped her out by bringing light to it.
Look, man, I didn't narc on her. That's all Dan, but it's going to fall back on me.
What do you mean narc on her? I'm not. She's on a very listened to program.
You narked.
Does she usually take that incendiary?
Not like that. That was out of like that. Did she not know that it was?
Man, she was trying to like walk around. I was listening to him like, don't do this just on principle, and also don't do this for your career.
And that show runs on a loop, so I don't even think you were listening to it live, because if it was the news, that's usually in the 11 o'clock hour.
So are there no rules over there? Like they're not governed in any way by sort of, are they working outside of the angry mob? Can they work outside of the angry 2019 mob because they're on satellite radio?
I think Howard is at a point in his career where if he were on more terrestrial radio, now if you're subscribing to SiriusXM, I think there's a vast majority of people that subscribe to SiriusXM that don't have the free trial are subscribing just for Howard Stern, whereas before, where he was the king of controversy and the king of radio, a lot of people were listening to him, much like us in Indianapolis, that have no choice in the matter and just getting furious at this. If you're subscribing to SiriusXM and listening to Howard, it's because you like Howard. Nobody that he's alienating is still listening to him.
What is happening in Indianapolis? Because I've gotten an unusual amount of hostility. Our show going into that market is going to be met with a whole lot of folks. This is the first time. It's not unlike Chernobyl. It's the first time that our strain of stupid is making.
It's very different, but it's okay.
It's our personal
Easy there,
Chernobyl. So we're sitting here going into Indianapolis, and Indianapolis is reacting very poorly to the way that we do sports radio because they want Dan Dockich.
Well, that might explain a lot because that's one of our biggest rivals. Yeah. Is it a rivalry if you don't really acknowledge the other person, but they talk about you all the time? I guess.
I mean, he's just shouting at clouds,
He doesn't
doing
like us.
sports radio his way, and he says our way is the wrong way. But we've kind of moved across all of the people who used to do that to us, and the Stugotz Army has taken us across all of those bodies.
Well, part of why we're over that is because the Heat are no longer good. See, remember when the Heat were good, we were picking fights everywhere. We were very emotional, and we were sensitive. Now we have nothing. Now we've got nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing whatsoever.
Did you see what happened? You guys, I heard you talking about it in the local hours, so I'm sure you saw it, but I don't know if Amin saw it, between the Brewers and the Marlins, where the Brewers on their Twitter account are talking trash to the Marlins, saying along the lines, and we'll get you the direct quotes in a second, but hey, we've got Yelich. What do you guys have? And the Marlins responded with, we scored 16 runs against you yesterday. Can Yelich hit any home runs worth more than 16 runs? The Marlins can't be talking trash to anybody, can they? Like,
no, that's
to
false.
Anybody?
Dan. False, Dan. When you beat someone 16-0, that's the time when you talk to trash.
Yeah, especially when you're the Marlins. That's super embarrassing for the Brewers.
I mean, when's the last time the Brewers were good? I mean, I know this year and last year, but you're the Brewers. When's the last time you won a World Series? We have 2 in the last 20-something years.
Yeah, 80s? What is it? I guess the Brewers were the 80s, right? Gorman Thomas.
I'm Googling Brewers World Series.
Mike, that
Always
team.
Wallbangers.
That team. Yes, thank you, Roy. I appreciate it.
All right, so what happened was the Marlins traded Christian Yelich to the Brewers. Now, Christian Yelich went on to win the National League MVP. The players the Marlins got back from the Brewers, not exactly panning out right now.
Poop.
So, yesterday, Christian Yelich hit a 2-run homer against the Marlins, and the Brewers tweeted, "Hey, at Marlins, this home run just reminded us that we never said how much we appreciate you for bringing Christian Yelich into our lives. Thanks for the NL MVP, hashtag this is my crew," and then they put the video of the home run. To which the Marlins Twitter replied, "Oh, nice. Let us know when he hits a 16-run homer."
Wow. See, you got to do it then. You have to. Think about how many opportunities they have to talk trash. Not many.
But they've got your cheap player locked up for years, and you've just got that 11-run fifth inning.
Oh, but they shouldn't be feuding down. It's such a bad look for the Brewers.
It's not down. They're the Brewers. I know they're good right now, but they're the Brewers. No one thinks of the Brewers as this great team. Get out of here.
The Brewers lost the World Series to the Cardinals in 1982.
Because they're losers.
Wow. You are going after everybody. I mean, the Beehive, Harvey's Wallbanger fans. It is crazy. You have lost your mind today. You are totally unhinged. Please go look at photographs of that Brewers team, Chris, if you want to laugh at what people looked like back when they were winning the World Series in the 80s. That team just was fried grease. Wow. Everybody smelled their beards and faces. All of it smelled like just fried things. You got Vukovic. You got Gorman Thomas. You got that Robin Yount and Paul Molitor. Molitor was clean.
He was clean cut. Yeah, and
Raleigh
correction, they weren't winning World Series in the 80s because, as we've covered, they've won 0. Yeah, wow. They've won 0.
They stink.
They've only made 1.
I'm looking for pictures right now.
Good stuff.
I mean, it's amazing. Go ahead, just Google, 82 Brewers.
Look at this guy.
No, it's unbelievable. It's a bunch of people from the wilderness were playing baseball. It's going to be hotter this summer. You could stay cool when you sleep with a mattress from Casper. I'm telling you, you're going to like these things. We all have them. Tell them, Amin.
It's the middle of the night. You're tossing and turning, not sleeping, drenched, covered in sweat. It's not the AC, it's your heat-trapping mattress. So get rid of it and get a Casper already. The Casper mattress combines 4 layers of pressure-relieving foams for all-night comfort. Plus, breathable foams are designed to keep you cool all night, all summer long. Sleep cool and comfortable every night. Get a Casper. Try yours for 100 nights with free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com and use code STU for $100 towards the purchase of select mattresses. That's Casper.com, code STU. Additional terms and conditions apply. See Casper.com/terms.
Party in the city where the heat.
And in the ESPN app. And subscribe to the Batard and Friends podcast network, featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. New episodes every week. Please rate and subscribe. It's all available in the More tab of the ESPN app. Amin Elhassan, that's me, giving the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
The new Mystery Crate is out. We don't want to tell you too much about it, but it made me uncomfortable. When, after it happened, I came into the studio, and it looked like a bomb had gone off in the faces of Chris, Roy, Mike, and Billy. I did not know what had happened, and they just said, "Whoa, that was good radio." And I just left confused because when they played it for me, I was made uncomfortable by what was happening.
Without giving away too much, we, the shipping container, were a part of this. We put 2 people in that studio that hate each other, publicly, privately. Their common bond is the disdain they have for each other. And if you're familiar with our show, you're familiar with these voices. I've said too much.
Okay, so back to the shadows. Mystery Crate is a mystery. We will get to Amin's thoughts on what the Nets are doing in a second, because they've got 2 max contracts now. But we've got a distinctly Miami story sort of breaking here, involving Duke Johnson, Duke Johnson's representation. Let me give you a little of the history here. Luther Campbell created booty music in Miami once upon a time.
We went a lot further back than I thought we were going to
Yes,
go.
we went back, and he took his fight to the Supreme Court, freedom of expression on booty music. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in the history of law. But this was a person who is and was very Miami. For example, when Suge Knight wanted to come to Miami, Snoop Dogg wanted to come to Miami, they had to ask his permission. So I give you all this as context only because his wife is a lot better than he is. His wife, and he'll tell you this himself, his wife will go after people in a way that she's very professional. And now what's happened on Twitter is she's evidently representing Duke Johnson.
Oh.
She, Luther Campbell's wife, is the representative for Duke Johnson, and now they're taking out Baker Mayfield. This has stopped being polite. Duke Johnson was trying to keep it polite. This has ceased to be polite.
Yeah, Duke Johnson seems very uncomfortable with all of this publicly, but he's getting the advice from his representation to take this public because that's the only possible way out of this situation in Cleveland. He says, look, I'm clearly not in the plans. I'm just here as a bridge to Kareem Hunt. If you're going to trade me at the beginning of the season. Don't use up my body, so wherever I go, I can have a better chance with a team. A lot of people can understand that, but not a lot of people know nationally what Dan just said. Kristen Campbell, Luther Campbell's wife, is part of the team that represents Duke Johnson. Luther Campbell, always outspoken, has taken to Twitter, and I'm surprised this isn't a national story considering what I just told you. This is a tweet from Luther Campbell, husband of Duke Johnson's representation. Bleep Baker Mayfield.
Nice.
And he flat out said the F word, folks. For saying that dumb bleep, which is weird because he bleeped out the S word, but he's full on said the F word. It's kind of bizarre, but
freedom of expression went straight to the Supreme Court. One of the funniest things I've seen in the history of law.
So he types out the F word at Baker Mayfield for saying dumb bleep. He censors bleep about Duke Johnson. I guarantee you be the one that divided this locker room. You're not in Texas at Cracker Barrel.
Whoa! Now, is Luther doing that? I'm telling you, he's going to get reprimanded when he gets home if he's doing that on his own.
He's been doing this for a couple of days. He's had other tweets about it, and he just said this most recently, hey, at Baker Mayfield. He's adding him. And you know Baker Mayfield is seeing this because Baker Mayfield pays attention to social media. Hey, at Baker Mayfield, this will be my last tweet to you. Brett Favre traded, Joe Montana traded, Peyton Manning traded, Drew Brees traded. That's not exactly true. Drew Brees' son is a free agent, but whatever. Dan Marino told to go home. Don't ever turn on your teammates for management. You are not exempt.
That's actually a pretty solid point right there.
It is.
We talked about it on a Highly Questionable, Dan. Like it's not that he's getting into the guy's pocket or whatever. He's siding with management over labor, and that never happens in pro sports.
I think what Mike Ryan was saying is right about Baker Mayfield, that he's got some learning to do about the politics of the position, but he's been rewarded so much for being the way that he is that he didn't realize what he was stepping in there, because that is the kind of stuff. Now, it doesn't matter. Mayfield might be better enough to eliminate it, might be good enough that he can eliminate all of it because he's that kind of great. But that's the kind of stuff that makes you lose the guys in your own huddle when they see you do this to Duke Johnson.
He's in a unique situation because that's the only guy on that team, really, that would pull him aside and say, don't do that to Duke Johnson. Baker Mayfield, in his second year, is one of the veteran leaders on this
But you
team.
don't want to be seen as pro management when you're in that position. It's what tore apart the Seahawks.
Yeah.
It tore them apart that Russell Wilson was the one who was seen as pro management, and he's the one who got all the money, and he's the only one still standing there.
And to be fair, Russell Wilson wasn't technically pro management, right? They
thought he was. It doesn't even
right?
matter if he was. He must have been if he was viewed that way. No? Like, you think the whole locker room's wrong about it?
I think that they were mad that he got credit, and they're like, no, the defense is what won, not his quarterback play. In this case, he is very clearly pro management. He is vocally pro management.
Well, you're saying clearly, and I think that's certainly the impression Duke Johnson's team gets, and maybe that's impressions that other players in the league get. I know what's happening here. This is Baker caping up for the guys that actually want to be there. He takes us against the world a little too seriously, and this is one of those times, and many would argue the Hugh Jackson thing is where it maybe got away from him a little bit.
There is one comp to this in pro sports. This is when Reggie Jackson was on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he was going to be a free agent. So he said, look, Russell Westbrook's here. I'm never going to be the starting point guard. Trade me. And Russell Westbrook basically commanded the locker room to freeze him out. We don't talk to him. And when he was talking to the media, he would refer to him very derisively. Say, the guys who want to be here, they're here. The guys who don't, and he looks over at Reggie Jackson, we don't care about them.
Bienvenido a Miami on the down.
Hungry.
You want to play the montage of me being wrong?
No, let's go back. I want to talk about Lamar Jackson.
No, this.
But in terms of being as great as he was the last couple of years, that's out the door.
Never again.
It gets worse from here. That's the other part that people don't get. He doesn't improve anymore. He gets worse every day. Yesterday he was better than he is today, and so on and so forth. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear by the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. And now your SportsCenter update. Nicole Curran, wife of Warriors owner Joe Lacob, said she's received death threats on social media after cameras caught an unhappy look on Beyoncé's face when Curran was talking to Jay-Z. Another horse had to be put down after racing at Santa Anita Park. The horse, named River Derby, is the fourth horse to be euthanized since May 17th and the 27th to die since the season began on December 26th.
You're saying that in a sort of happy fashion. I think you
No.
should read that more somberly. No, I'm not. I don't mean that you're happy saying it. I'm saying you sound a little too happy while reading about horses dying. You could turn down the broadcaster a little bit.
And finally, a 47-year-old resident of southern Israel is facing charges of aggravated robbery after successfully stealing nearly $9,000 from 2 banks last month using an avocado. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
You read the funny one in a way that wasn't funny, and you read the not funny one in a way that was trying to be funny.
Theater of the mind, Dan.
Is that what you're going to do every time you're terrible? Like you're just going to say it's theater of the mind and hope that everyone just applauds you?
I mean, it's worked so far, right?
Okay, very good. The Nets have 2 max contracts. That's Amin Elhassan. Give us some expertise on what that means. Does it mean that they know they've got either Durant or Kyrie?
Right. So first of all, we have to talk about how they cleared this space. They had to use 2 first-round picks attached to Alan Crabb's contract to clear the space necessary. As you said earlier, when you're giving up 2 first-rounders, you don't do that just because. You do that because you have a strong inkling that something's going to happen.
It's got to be more than an inkling. No, it's got to be, you know it. No, it's got to be. They're not positioning themselves to be available to Durant and Kyrie. They've got to know something.
They've got strong indications. They have to have strong indications, but you never know, Dan. You never know because these guys, particularly when we're talking about these particular guys who are moody and /or can change their mind very rapidly. Right? I mean, like if you're listening to Kyrie Irving, I'm 100% coming. How much can you trust that?
It's a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, they just traded someone who ostensibly has value and 2 picks that do have value because they just did that. You don't know that. You just don't do that on a whim. You don't do that on a gamble. You do that when you know something.
I know, but I'm telling you, if you're Sean Marks and I'm Kyrie Irving and we're sitting in a room, this is complete tampering, but I'm saying, I'm coming. July 1, I'll be there. How much can you, Sean Marks, trust that coming from him, particularly a guy who's been known to change his mind on a whim?
Don't you have to trust it, Mike? Like if they're doesn't this indicate what the Nets did today? Doesn't indicate to anyone they're going to get one of these guys.
It's the strongest indicator. They gave up 2 first-round picks, as Amin said. Usually, and we've seen this before in the past, when teams start moving things. Remember when the Cavs started moving contracts?
The Heat went into that offseason with nobody on their roster, and nobody could figure out why. They thought it was taking a gamble. It wasn't a gamble.
Yeah,
the Heat knew what was going to happen.
And I'm not talking about multiple teams around the trade deadline trying to clear space in anticipation. I'm talking about the bizarre timing during the NBA Finals and leading up to free agency. When a team makes a dramatic move, like not just clearing that kind of money, but stapling valuable assets the way that they did in order to entice another team to assume that cap room, then that's a huge sign that something's about to go down.
In 2008, Michael Beasley was the number 2 overall pick. In 2010, before free agency, the Heat traded him for 2 second-round picks. Like that's 2 years into his career, they punted on it, right? Any other team would say, wait a second, it's only 2 years. The guy was 19. Let's see what happens. They punted on him because they knew.
They knew what was coming.
They knew what was coming.
I'm surprised. I understand what you're saying about Kyrie. He's unpredictable. But these business decisions can't be made with somebody. You make them wink, wink, but you have to know before you start trading away actual assets. And so what I want to ask you guys is if you want to go down that speculative path, is this move, the one they just made, where you're trading guys and value just to clear up space, that feels like something you do for Durant, not for Kyrie. That feels like, to me, something that you do because you think Durant is coming. Maybe Durant and Kyrie, but that's, to me, not something you even do for Kyrie. You do it for somebody else.
Well, you do it for 2 of them, right? Or just Durant. But you do it because you think you're going to get 2 of them, which leads us to the next problem. So the Nets have room for 2 maxes. The Lakers and the Knicks and the Clippers all have a path to get to 2 max slots. There aren't that many guys on the market, and that's besides all the other teams that have room or flexibility to get to 1 max slot. There's not that many free agents that are worthy of that. So at some point, someone is going to have done all of this work and be left holding a bag of money and nobody pay it.
The Nets are positioned right now, if Kevin Durant, if it's important to him to go to a team with Kyrie Irving, because there's tons of question marks. I saw Amin on Highly Questionable yesterday talk about this. Kyrie Irving with a team of young players at its core to try to lead them to the next step. We kind of just saw that fail in Boston right now. But if the only way to get Kevin Durant is to clear room for Kyrie Irving because he's set on it, then you have to do that.
It's interesting, Mike, because I think that what has happened this year, and I don't know if Kyrie Irving sees this when he looks in the mirror, but it seems like we can all agree, oh, look, good enough to be a number 2 guy on a championship team. Simply not good enough to be number 1 guy on a championship team. I don't know if he knew it before this season. Feels like he went to Boston because he didn't know it. And then he realized it about halfway through the season.
You think he realized it?
I mean, I'm saying
He
that what has
apologized to LeBron.
what has happened has been what has happened to me is leaving. He became polarizing millennial who beat LeBron at his own power game, younger guy doing it to an old head before the old head could do it to him, changed his Q rating, and it took him half a damn season to realize, oh, I ain't for this. I'm not for number 1 guy on a team. I don't want this. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want Terry Rozier hating me. I don't want any of this. Hey, LeBron, by the way, I'm sorry.
See, that's not how I processed it. I processed it as these guys won't follow me. It's not that I'm not good enough. It's that it's these guys' fault that we're not going to where we should go. And that's kind of the crux of what I was talking about on HQ yesterday. If he did have that realization, then I'd be fine with him coming and joining my young team. But I don't think he had that. I think he thinks that, oh, it's their fault. They didn't listen to me. They didn't follow me, and that's why we lost. And so he's just going to go somewhere else and bring the same kind of energy.
Isn't he the last one to know? Is he the last one to know that he's not a number 1? On a championship team, Kyrie Irving is not a number 1 on a championship team. He can't be your best player.
You have to understand, though, it's probably the worst possible situation in order for Kyrie Irving to lead a young team. When that young team went to the Eastern Conference Finals without you, the Nets clearly have room to grow. Boston was like, we were a game away.
Mike, all I say to you is this. It has less to do with the accomplishments and more to do with his day-to-day behavior as he shows up to the facility or shows up to the gym.
Awkward transition. Time for some ads.
Way to close strong. I mean, like really nail the dismount.
I mean, look, I said too much.
You petered out is what you did.
I used my quiet voice, Dan.
Going on a vacation. Your tone was wrong on everything you did in that segment from beginning to end.
Theater of the mind, Dan.
Yeah, of course. Going on a vacation this summer, keep your property protected by installing Blink cameras in and around your home. Tell them, Amin.
86 burglars were asked how they broke into homes, and all said they knocked on the door first. That's why you need Blink XT2 cameras. They detect motion, so you'll get an alert, and you can see and talk to who's there. Tell the delivery guy where to leave the package, or say hi when the kids get home. Blink XT2 cameras start under $100, so thanks to Blink, home security just got easier. Blink cameras are available on Amazon and Best Buy, or visit blinkprotect.com/Dan. That's blinkprotect.com/Dan.
305, he like that.
Missed any of our interviews, go check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
That's Amin Elhassan. Our thanks to him for being in with us all week. We're going to open up the club here in a second. But first, we've just got to update some polls real quick at Le Batard Show on Instagram and Twitter. What are the updates on the polls? Fake Stugotz. Hold on a second. Fake Stugotz. Amin Elhassan The replacement Stugotz has something he has to say here.
The Twitter poll at Batard Show is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club delivers the products you use to look, feel, and smell your best right to your door. Plus, with their handsome discount, the more you buy, the more you save. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Dan for a special offer.
Is a clinic reputable if it's in Cleveland, Dan? 66% of the audience said no. Do you use the snooze button? 64% of the audience said yes. Is the Tim Kurkjian segment the most popular one we do? 66% of the audience said yes. Is it blasphemy to suggest something other than the Ron McGill segment is the most popular thing we do? 63% of the audience said yes.
Wait a minute. Those two things can't coexist.
Big fat white face. Big fat white face. Are Mike and Ikes and Hot Tamales in the Jelly Bean family? 63% of the audience said yes. Is it amazing that the H category in home run leaders is led by two Howards with the same number of home runs? 68% of the audience said yes. Can a jelly bean be a square? 88% of the audience said no. Those are the polls.
How did you guys feel about the delightful time we spent with Kurkjian? Isn't it amazing? It's a bit like frolicking with a popular circus freak. Because
is this a compliment?
That's so what the hell?
The things he can do on baseball trivia, where he crushes himself if he doesn't get something from the 1900s correct, that's not normal human behavior.
I was talking about this with Chris earlier. Pretty useless trait to have. Like to name who has the most home runs by...
Now who's insulting him?
So you guys could have gone with like genius, very knowledgeable, and instead you went with circus freak and useless.
Go ahead and open up the club at Le Batard Show, Instagram and Twitter. If you want to change the results of that poll, open up the club.
If Amin was a real basketball expert, he could tell you all the highest scores by last name.
C, Chamberlain. J, Jordan. B, Bryant.
Is it Jordan or Jabbar?
Jabbar. Abdul-Jabbar.
That's A. That's a fine.
Yeah, that's an A. M is Malone. What else you want to know?
L.
That's me.
Get out of here.
Go inside Stephen A. Smith joke.
Go
Stephen A. Smith joke that's been referenced maybe 3 times.
There it is. Okay. I mean, that's a callback on a... Such a bad joke. Who's the first sound in the club, Mike?
Hey, everybody. Happy June.
Yes, happy June, everybody. No happier a June than the one presented to you by Andrew Luck.
Hey, everybody. Happy June.
Who else in the club?
No, just Rob.
Do Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's points all count as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or do some count as Lou Alcindor?
What else you
just
got?
Rob.
What else you got, Mike?
Oh, God darn. Pressure is so enormous.
What was the question when Tim Kurkjian? What was that question? You guys say I shouldn't call him a circus freak.
Who's the only other active player that had an unassisted triple play? Yeah, Troy Tulowitzki was one, and he got stuck on Asdrubal Cabrera.
Oh, God darn. Pressure is so enormous.
Billy found a minor leaguer in 1912, outfielder, who had an unassisted triple play. I've got questions about how Tris Speaker had so many unassisted double plays. How the hell were they playing baseball back then? He was just chasing people down on the base pass without throwing the baseball. Who else in the club?
You get that, right? Like, you get that, right?
That's Stugotz dismissing MC Hammer.
You are a genius.
Yes, I am. And you're not.
Oh, no. Him dismissing him some more and me being mortified. Who else in the club?
He looks better on the toilet than I do doing anything in my life.
That is Billy on A-Rod.
He looks better on the toilet than I do doing anything in my life.
Where are the lies? Who else is in the club?
I'm just wondering if you get that, because you're being rude on our radio show.
It makes me uncomfortable. Who else?
I have a confession to make. Whoa. I just had to go to a bathroom.
I don't know which time to believe Paul Pierce, when he says he pooped himself or now when he says he didn't. What else?
So what have you guys been doing today? I'd like to read a book or two to you before we start playing. Is that all right?
Mike, can you pick anything weaker to send us into the weekend with energy and party energy?
Who likes cats? I like cats more than dogs.
I want to party this weekend. I want to get into the tequila happy hour. Give me some party.
My mom says I'm unique. She says I'm a wonder. My dog, Daisy, agrees.
Hope you enjoyed the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
World Star.